And they imagined this, I'm going to use the television. They imagined it like, this comes from Pythagoreans, I think, but this is the image they use, as a circle. Can you see my imaginary circle? Okay, circle with a radius and a center. In this analogy, the circle is the body, physis, the radius is the psyche, soul, and the center is spirit. The very center. So that we're conscious of this. Now, in the, again, both in the pagan and the Christian systems, you start as what they called a hillock, which means really a materialist. You're someone who thinks they're their body. And I'm sure you meet them. There's a lot of them about. They really think they're this. And sometimes you think you can't even, there's not a lot happening inside. And that's one level of consciousness. And the first stage of initiation, which happens in the mystery schools, is called the psychic initiation. And it's not to do with, you know, ooh, psychism, all that. It's not to do with that. It's just about an investigation of the soul. So the journey, for them, using this Pythagorean image, is that you start on the circumference, you start on the surface of things, with this, and then you begin to make a journey into yourself, into the soul. And I suspect most people who are here will know what I mean when I say, and you start to become, it starts, you know, this is incredible, isn't it? I mean, the sensation is amazing. But once you start making that journey into the soul, there's a whole nother world, which is equally, perhaps even more amazing. So you start looking inside, and that is the psychic initiation, and that's where it starts. And that's a process which they saw as one of purification. It's about being able to really know who you are as a person, as a soul, as an individual. But that's only the first step. The second step is what they call the pneumatic initiation, which has nothing to do with tires. It's the pneuma. It means spiritual, the spiritual initiation. So the first one, you're a hillock, a materialist, then you become what they called a psychic, a soulist. And then finally you become a spiritual, or a pneumatic. You go through another level of initiation. And that level of initiation is about discovering the spirit. Because when it happens, it's a bit of a shock. Because up until then, you think you're what you seem to be, this separate individual. But when you start putting your attention not on what you seem to be, but on your being, on what you are, you discover that there's actually only one of us. Now, to use this analogy, I'd like you to imagine now that instead of just one radius coming out from the center, there's infinite radii coming out from the center. This is another image from Plotinus. And what he says is, look, on the edges here are all these separate bodies. But if we reach back into the soul, we start recognizing that we're one, until we come to the center, and there's one of us. So that as souls, we are the relationship between absolutely separate and unique bodies and one soul, one spirit. That there's a polarity to our nature. And what the ancients, the words they used for this, the Greek words were that we have on the one end of our identity, we're what they call the eidolon. I mean, the word means image. We're an image, an appearance. I'm an appearance. That's why you can see me. I'm a thing. But actually, I'm only a thing for you. For me, I'm not an object. For me, I'm a subject. I'm not a thing. I'm an I. What am I? What are you for you, actually? What are you for you? Because this goes, doesn't it? What is it that's always you? It's not this, I don't think. I mean, literally, every night this goes, disappears. Sometimes there's some other guy in a different world. But I'm still there. That I is still there. And that's the beginning. When you start investigating that presence of the I, that's the beginning of the spiritual or the pneumatic initiation. That's about when you start discovering what you really are, and that's the beginning of this deeper level of gnosis. So, in the Gospel of Thomas, which is one of my favourite Gnostic Gospels, Jesus says, I will reveal to you what you can't see, what you can't hear, what you can't touch, and what you can't imagine. That's the secret of the gnosis. Paul says a very similar thing in one place. So what is it? It's a little riddle. I came across exactly the same riddle in one of the Upanishads a few months ago. Almost identical. What is it you can't see? In the Upanishads, it's slightly clearer, actually. I'll give you the Upanishad. We'll just slip over. Hey, I'll do a Basilides. In the Upanishad version, it says, what is it you can't see which makes seeing possible? What is it you can't hear that makes hearing possible? What is it you can't touch which makes touching possible? What is it you can't imagine that makes imagination possible? And I think the answer is consciousness, awareness. It's that which knows. It's the seer, the hearer, the imaginer. It's that presence which is conscious of this. What is it which is conscious of this moment? So the journey starts to be, okay, here I'm an eidolon, an appearance. But what's my being? What's my essence? What's my spirit? And it turns out to be the polar opposite of the eidolon. Here on the surface, I'm 10, an individual meeting new individuals. But as I sink back inside my soul, inside my psyche, and I start exploring the depths of my own being, I come back to a place where I just am, witnessing all of this. And when I find that place, there is no difference between what I am and what you are.